I know I missed the last episode. I'm absolutely sorry about that. But just like in football, sometimes you have to step away and let those right subs come in, of course, and make a shift. And that's what we exactly saw in the previous episode with Mahlatse Mphahlele coming on and, of course, managing the show and did a brilliant job, of course. And a big thank you to the team that assisted him as well. But that is the beauty of squad depth. When you step out, you don't feel the difference. It's exactly, of course, how the system should remain. That's the structure of this show. My name is Clauiee Grace Mpanza. Absolutely excited to be alongside you. We had prepared for you jersey number 2, but unfortunately, he failed to clear the flu. So hopefully he will recover soon and will be joining us. So much so to talk about. The Proteas will be in action against Australia at Lords next week. So we'll be talking about that. We'll also talk about what we're looking forward to in terms of URC. Loftus Stadium is where we're at with, of course, the Bulls and the Sharks in action. And then we'll also talk about football. And the big thing with football, CAF Champions League has proved that the right subs are important. And sometimes, and I know a lot of you are saying that you can't leave a magician on the bench. How do you do that? So we'll talk about that and, of course, so much more. But our usual features still stand on the show in terms of your top stories and your stars of the week. But we'll start off by finding out how my favorite influencer is doing. Mahlatse, so good to see you. I wish I could say I haven't seen you in a long time, but we actually got to watch the UEFA Champions League together. How have you been?
You're following me around.
Oh, so now I'm stalking you.
Yeah, no, it was nice. We spent some time together on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Watching the Champions League final. Yeah, it was nice. The Heineken guys put on a good show.
For sure.
For us to enjoy, so yeah. Also, I was in good company. So yeah, it was a beautiful evening, I must say.
We definitely were. Who did you speak to? Because there was so many people. Like, it was so packed. Top 3 of perhaps the most famous footballers, former footballers that you remember talking to?
So I was seated next to Teko Modise.
Oh, the navigator.
I also saw Brighton Mhlongo. I saw Morgan Gould.
It's interesting you mentioned Brighton Mhlongo because I had a conversation with him, and we'll bring you on to this one because you guys have been fetching us on X, or what Mahlatse's generation called Twitter. There's a part where Brighton was like, I don't see Mamelodi Sundowns winning the league. And he was like, guys, but this was the other season.
Yeah. No, you want me to know
I
that?
asked him, he's like, no, I wasn't referring to this season, I was referring to the other season.
So they were fetching me there on Twitter, so which is very tricky, but
Oh, but I love it.
Yeah, that was all good. And then the other person I was sitting to, I must say I was meeting for the first time, was the famous DJ, Oscar Mbio.
Oh, Oscar Mbio.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with the way, his knowledge of football.
Yeah, and he carries himself quite well, actually.
Yeah. As we were sitting there, I was sitting next to him and colleague Lawrence Koller. And, he was talking about the game and, he was actually following the match. So, yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised as how he understands and follows the game. So, yeah, it was quite nice, yeah.
It definitely was, and we enjoyed it. Hopefully you also enjoyed your weekend, and of course still more sporting codes that are coming up. But on that note, let's find out what's in your top stories.
Durban City are finally the official champions of the Motsepe Foundation Championship and have been promoted to the Betway Premiership after an arbitration dismissed 2 cases against the Durban team. Comrades Marathon will take center stage on Sunday, the 8th of June, when the 98th edition of the event takes to the streets between Pietermaritzburg and Durban with just more than 22,000 runners. Middle order bearer Hendrik Klassen has announced his immediate retirement from international cricket, bringing an end to a distinguished 7-year career with the Proteas men's team.
Well, certainly a lot to look forward to this weekend, particularly the Comrades Marathon. Have you ever given it a chance? Maybe running. Maybe let's try 5 kilometers because I don't think you do a marathon. I don't see you doing a marathon.
I will never do a marathon. I call myself a 10K specialist.
10K specialist.
Yeah, I recently, when I was in Devon for the final, the Saturday morning I went for a run. I actually broke my 5-kilometer record, 33 minutes.
Oh, I love it for you.
So yeah, and my turn is about one hour, 10 minutes. So yeah, it's not too bad. I'm not an endurance person. I prefer short distances. I would never ever run Comrades Marathon. I'm not crazy.
Oh,
They are mad, those people
no.
who run Comrades Marathon.
So
yeah.
you like 2 minutes. You're a 2 minutes person. But anyway, so much to talk about. Let's then start with the ICC.
Let's stick to sports.
You said it, my guy. I'm just like, what do you mean? How
No,
do
I
you
don't
not
do
like,
endurance.
how do you not
I
like
don't do
endurance?
endurance sports.
ICC World Test
Yes.
course championship is where we're at, and I think first thing first, influencer. When you talk about Maharaj, for me, I mean he's on the cusp of greatness with 198 wickets, hoping to take it to 200. Talk to us about him as a player and really the journey. And it's quite interesting with Maharaj that he made his debut in terms of Test 2012 against Australia, and here he is years later having to play against Australia at Lord's.
Yeah, I think you are right. I mean, if you look at the Proteas test side, Keshav definitely becomes an important player. The tricky part here may be the conditions in England maybe not quite suited to spinners. But I don't think they will go with a team without a spinner. He will definitely be the main spinner in our team. You expect that KG will be the frontline seamer. You'll have someone like Lunkingidi as maybe the two frontline fast bowlers for us. Normally, in England, if the match maybe goes to day 4 and goes to day 5, the pitch will start to deteriorate. That's where the spinners will come on board. And you can deliberately see that the South African team knows that for day 1, day 2, and day 3, the seamers are going to play an important role. That's why they've asked the former England fast bowler Stuart Broad to become the consultant because of the knowledge and understanding of the conditions in the country. So yeah, but I mean he remains an important player. He's not only coming on or becoming important in terms of ball in hand, but he comes in at number 7, number 8, and if things are a bit tricky, he can hold his own with the bat, which makes him quite an important player for the side. But it's not going to be easy against Australia. The Australians, you can feel they are going to target KG because of the problems that he has had with the doping agencies. There will be a lot of stuff being said behind the scenes to try and unsettle KG.
But you know what I think?
But KG is a big boy now.
I was going to say that. Like, I really see Rabada just shrugging it off and giving us a performance that we were like, he's back. This is the guy that we love.
So I think they're going to have to turn off that stump mic quite low.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of chipping going on there. And whenever he runs on, they will get in his skin. I mean, the Australians are very good at this thing of trying to play mind games with the players. And they will definitely do that. But he'll have senior guys around him. Temba is there. Most of the guys are there. So yeah, it should be good. Battles between South Africa and Australia historically are fierce. And also this is a final, the Test Championship final. The winner, is sort of the champion of Test cricket in the world.
For sure.
And it's good. I'm quite also happy that the Proteas have gone there because when this cycle of Test matches started, we were definitely not in the reckoning to say we'll get to where we are now, which shows that how Coach Shukri Conrad has been working with the team. It's a settled Test side now. And I think they must just go there next week and do the thing. It's good that they're playing one match against Zimbabwe as a sort of a preparation match to get a feel of the conditions. And also there, they used a different ball to what Kookaburra ball that we use in South Africa. So also a lot of acclimatization needs to happen in the nets, in the 4-day match that they're going to be playing. I'm sure that they'll be ready before the match starts. And I'm looking forward to it. I'll be glued to my screen next week.
We definitely all will be. And I also want to touch then on Themba Bavuma's leadership. I mean, you mentioned him and the players around him as well. Talk about the leadership that he brings, and that's perhaps sometimes underrated from, of course, a fan perspective. From what you've seen from Themba, talk to us about what he brings to the Proteas.
I always say it must be very difficult to be Themba Bavuma. You do good, people talk. You do bad, people talk, But as a Test player, if I'm a coach, he will be the first guy on the list. I think he has proved over and over and over again that He's a solid test player. He performs a particular role in the side where if the top and the middle order guys doesn't really fire, he always comes in most of the times when the team is not on a good footing. And many occasions, he has taken us out of trouble because of the solid way he bats, the calmness. You know, he reads the game very well. And I think he's respected by opposition fast bowlers or by opposition bowlers in a way. They know that when you are playing against him, you are going to be up against him. And also, people have questioned the fact that maybe he doesn't score too many hundreds. He's in a difficult position because most of the times when he's on the crease, he finds himself batting with the tail, and that can be very, very difficult, you know. He's not like a guy who comes in at number 3, number 4, where you can bat with the sort of the established batters. So it's a very, very tricky thing, but he has mastered that art, you know. And he's one person who, if he plays well, I think South Africa will have a chance, definitely.
I also want to talk about Ryan Rickleton, and the reason why we talk about Ryan, influencer, is that before he made it to the Proteas, I remember as a younger player having interviewed him and talking about the dream of wanting to represent the nation. And I mean, now here he is with the senior Protea side. Talk to us about his progression, him, and really what he brings to this Protea side.
Yeah, he's one guy who, you know, sort of, he's been patient on the domestic front. I remember seeing him at the Lions some years back, and he really earned his stripe in the 4-day or in the domestic scene. He's a 2-in-1 kind of player because he can bat and also can be a wicketkeeper, you know. So he's one of the guys who I can imagine now the coach will have to make a choice as to who's going to be the wicketkeeper for this match. He can do that job, but also a lot is going to depend on how the coach wants to balance the side, because that becomes important, you know. I don't know if they're going to be with 6 or 7 batters, and you know what, how just the tricky part of how they are going to balance the side, you know. But you can clearly see that he's probably going to be the guy who will be keeping wicket for us, which again brings a lot of workload for him. I mean, if we bat second, and you have been standing there behind the wickets for a long time, it can be a bit tricky, which means then he can't really be batting higher up. We'll have to take him a little bit lower so that he can rest between the change of innings. So those are the tricky things that the coach will have to navigate around, but I'm quite comfortable with the team that I've picked. There's a good balance of experienced guys who have been there, who have played a lot of big matches before, and you know, the guys who can be able to stand their own against Australia, who comes with their own challenges, because you know, you remember when they were here all those years ago with that the Sungate scandal, and there's always something that happens between South Africa and Australia, which will add a little bit of spice to the match. Hopefully the English will come in their numbers. England, in the English people just appreciate Test cricket. The stadium will be full, the atmosphere will be very good, you know, and I hope that the rain also stays away, because if it rains, you know, it can mess a lot of things up. So I'm hoping that it can be a full test match that can go for 5 days. And, you know, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in front of my TV next week.
Definitely will be. On that note, before we move over to talk all things rugby, we missed one. Star of the week. Who has impressed you?
I'd love to go with the Pyramids, the Egyptian side who won the Champions League. At the beginning of the season, I would not have put them as the team that will go all the way to the final. I think they've done well. They had a good preliminary stage. They've had a good group stages. They've had a good knockout stages, and they deserve to be champions. You know, you know, in the Champions League, as one legend said, "Go and get a point away from home."
Yes.
It makes a difference. You know, so I think they played the tournament well. But obviously next season it's gonna be another story. They'll have a target on their back. Let's see how they'll go. I'm sure the people who are running the club looks like they're serious about the Champions League thing, and you know, it's nice to see that there's one other team that can be competitive at the stage. So my star of the week will be Pyramids of Egypt, and let me not make the mistake of not asking you who's your star of the week.
Oh my goodness, what is happening? Okay.
I made sure I don't forget that one.
I'm absolutely shocked. Clearly, I should go away more. You get to pick up some manners there. Thank you for WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Star of the week for me, I was really tempted to say Oscar Piastri, but
No
not this
surprises
time
there.
around. No. So he was on my list. It was between him and Luis Enrique, but I'll have to go with Enrique. And really, the big reason for that is just what he's done with his youngsters. I mean, for the longest time, we call their league Farmers League, and here are a bunch of young players winning the Champions League, knocking out big teams, and he joins a special list of having, of course, managers who have won the Champions League with different clubs. It was always Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola and Carlo Ancelotti in the 21st century. So now he adds his name on that list. So it's absolutely brilliant and great for him. And I mean, he just seems like a good human being. You know, it's lovely to also see good humans win, which I think for me is just top class.
Yeah, there was also a nice touch where he sort of gave a paid tribute to her late daughter, his late daughter. It was nice. I thought he got a T-shirt from the stands with the stuff that was written to honor her daughter who is late now. Yeah, it was nice.
It really was.
And also, I think I saw something yesterday that in the past, Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar, the team this team now that won the Champions League put together, that money is not does not even come anywhere near. Well, it comes somewhere near than those three put together.
Sure.
So it shows that if you are smart on the transfers, you do the right things. You know, it can go a long way. They've had all this obsession with the big players coming there. They want nothing. But now, with 17-year-olds and 19-year-olds,
I love this generation of young people, influencer. Like, they make my heart so happy.
Young players must play.
Yes.
But also, you must have the right young players.
Yes, because you see it at Barcelona as well.
Yeah, Barcelona have got young players also they're playing, and you know. You feel that very soon Barcelona will also come very, very close to winning Champions League. Well, they were close now. And a lot of people feel it could have been a better final between Barcelona and PSG, which I agree, but you know, it was not to be.
I thought Chelsea's winning it next season, but okay, maybe not.
Nah.
Oh, no, is it? You've got no trophy, my friend, so please relax.
Arsenal ahead of Chelsea.
On that note, let's then shift focus to rugby. URC, we have, of course, the Bulls who will be in action against the Sharks. And influencer, you were at this press conference with Jake White where a lot of biggest questions saying, but Bulls, they choke. They get to the final, they get to the semifinals, and they just can't seem to get to that first place. Talk to us about that conversation before we go to Jake White and hear what he has to say, but really where Bulls seem to get it wrong.
Yeah, it's a very difficult one to put a finger on. The Bulls are a very, very strong team. Also, you know, that team is laden with the Springbok players. I mean, Velko Low, was Vise, or some are former Springboks, Marcelo Coetzee, you know, Ruan Nortier, Ambrose Papier, that kind of players, Kenan Moody, Veli Leroux. Those are players who at some stage played for the Springboks, some are playing for the Springboks now. So it's a very, very strong team. They've always, in the URC specifically, punched above the weight. They're always up there, probably in the top 4. That's why you can see that over the last while, they've always hosted a home semi-final or home quarter-final or home semi-final. Is because you get to host home knockout matches, depending on how high you finish on the log. Even now, this coming weekend or this weekend, they are hosting a home semi-final against the Sharks, which is a massive, massive South African derby. Is because I think they finished second on a regular standings. So they always do well there, but when it comes to the knockout stages, it becomes a problem. I think the last year they lost to Glasgow Warriors in the final, which was a serious damage at home. You know, so the coach was on the clip that we're going to play now. The coach was sort of responding to the accusations which they can beat of being maybe naive when it matters the most. Can they really, in these two matches, go all the way? The Sharks have got this thing of coming to Loftus and causing disruptions there in the capital city.
Of course, yeah.
They've got a way of beating the Bulls, and also, I mean, if you look at the Sharks, it's a very, very strong Springbok side.
You look at those names, you're like...
Yeah, we were joking, saying if the Bulls against the Springboks, I mean, Bongi Mbonambi, Lokanyo Am, and all those players. It's a strong team, but also the Sharks, to their detriment, it's all good to have all these big players. You have to make them function together as a team.
Yeah.
They've often been found wanting, over the past few years,
For sure.
despite the fact that they are a very, very strong team. It's one thing to have individuals, but it's one thing to make them work together. So it's a match which should excite. I saw the updating on the Bulls WhatsApp group about the ticket sales. They are selling very fast.
Have you got your hottest ticket?
Yeah, no, I've got my media stuff, so I'm sorted.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the other one.
Nah,
So you're working this time.
Yeah, I'm working, and fortunately, I'm working. Yeah, I will be at Loftus on Saturday. It's one of those matches where it's up there on the sporting calendar in South Africa.
Sure.
I can say the football equivalent of maybe a Chiefs Sundowns or the Sundowns Pirates, not quite a Soweto derby, but yeah, it's up there. The interest is there. It's two teams which hate each other in a good way. It's always a spectacle, There's a lot at stake. A place in the final, two good teams, experienced coaches.
For sure.
So it should be good. And I think if the Bulls win, and then the other semi-final goes somehow, we may have a home final. Bulls may have a home final in the other week. So it should be good. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
South African football will put its best foot forward, and also it's good because very soon we'll be turning our attention to the Springboks. The international season will be starting. So these players who are playing now will pretty much be playing for the Springboks. So I'm sure Rashi Rasmus will be at Loftus to check some of his players, because he will be picking from most of these players will be on show on Saturday. The Stormers disappointed; they lost on Friday, so pretty much the Sharks and the Bulls are the two remaining teams in the URC.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it. It should be good. You must speak to your people to organize your ticket to come and watch.
No, I'll be in Cape Town. We've got a race in Cape Town.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'll be busy with cars.
Okay, excuse me.
On that note, let's find out what Jake White has to say.
It's a difficult question for me to answer because there is no right. Someone asked me the other day, I read an article about being chokers. I've got a full-time psychologist that works with our team. So what more can you give a team if the label is you're a choker or the perception is you're a choker? What you want as a coach is you want to make sure that when they get these opportunities to be in these big games, that they learn all the things that didn't work and all the things that did work. I said to you the other day when I was with the media, if you tell the guy, careful the water on the left-hand side in a golf hole, chances are it's in the water. So it's one of those things I don't think you need to talk about it. I think that you need to encourage the other side. Where we were, what we've done, who we've played against, why we didn't pull it through, what we were good at. That's the way I'm seeing it now. We want to play in the final and we want to win the final. And whatever we've learned along the way, even myself included, some asked me the other day about, look today, the bench is different. Today we finished strong. Today our scrum was stronger in the second half than it was in the second half of other games in the last 4 years. So that's why when I say to Sim, sometimes it's me. Sometimes I need to look at, what did we do? Who came on? When did he play? How much time did he get? Who did he play with? And I'm happy that after 4 years, I'm happy to put reserves on. I'm happy to put another front row on. I'm happy to give confidence to a guy like Keegan Johannes, who's run at 10 and will continue to kick for goal, even though he feels as though he's not striking it properly. So I suppose what I'm trying to say to you is, in a roundabout way, is we don't want to talk about that. What happened in the past, it's irrelevant, other than the fact that it's got to help you. It doesn't matter, And we will, next week we're in the semi-final again, and that means everything we need to do this week of what we did in that semi-final, We beat Leinster away in the semi-final. Yeah, we beat Leinster away in the semi-final there. Maybe the semi-finals have been the best weeks in the years that I've been coaching here. And maybe that's something we just got to go and find what worked and then make sure that becomes the best week again, because then we'll get the same result. But it isn't something that we talk about. It's like funny when you coach, you don't want to use words like, lose and remember this, and because I think that brings all the negativity to the thought process instead of the positivity, which is we're in the semi-final. And in this point in time, there's only 2 South African sides left in this competition, and the Bulls again, and I say it again, are at the top of the table. So what more can I ask from these young guys?
Well, great to see, of course, how Jake White handled that, and clarifying that choking is a strong term. And guys, you need to stop using that term, influencer. But anyway, we move on.
Especially for those of us who are in England.
Yeah, your team, yeah? Let's then look into football, and we'll start then, of course, with the CAF Champions League final. Mahlatse mentioned Pyramids as a star of the week, but then we also have to look into that encounter, Mamelodi Sundowns. Quite an interesting one, Influence. I mean, earlier on when we start off the show, we spoke about making the right substitutions. And I think that's the key thing in this encounter that we see, not only just with Mamelodi Sundowns. We saw the same thing, Pirates against Pyramids, making the right substitutions, effectively then costing you what you would hope for Pirates would be a final, for Sundowns, for that second star, which unfortunately they didn't get this time around. But when you saw those subs being made, and we'll stick with that because we don't have time, talk to us about, bringing on the likes of Mutiba Shikabala staying on the bench. A lot of the Sundowns fans were like, how do you not play Mshishi?
Yeah, Sundowns, I don't know. It was a very, very disappointing thing because, they were there. The match was there. The match was there for the taking. I understand that this Pyramids team is quite a tricky team to play against, especially when they're at home. Most of the teams are very complex to unpack them when they're at home. But you are right. I think the coach must take much of the blame for the mess. The senior players must take part of the blame for this mess also. If you go back to the first leg at Loftus, that Pyramids goal should not have been a goal. They should have defended better. They didn't. That's the part where the players must take responsibility. But also you feel Sundowns should have been more strong, or should have maybe scored more goals at home if the coach was a little bit more adventurous from the start. I've always never really understood why he doesn't trust Peter Shalulile at this level. He has persisted with Salas, especially in the first leg, and knowing what you know now, he didn't do much. I feel Shalulile could have added more value because of the experience, having been there, so that's the one part, and going away.
Shishi as well.
Yeah, in the second half at Loftus, the crowd is there. The moment was perfect for Shishi to come and maybe try and influence the game in the way that he did. Before that match,
we saw
in
him
a
at
league match
as well.
So with Al-Ahly, he played that pass that led to the goal. Leading up to the first leg, they played a league match, and Mshishi came in the second half, and he was the real Mshishi that we know, and you sort of miss that in the final. Players like Mshishi, because of they've been there so much, they know the moments, and they can have a feel of the situation. I'm sure when he's sitting on the bench, he's not just sitting there drinking Powerade the whole time.
Of course, he's watching
he's
and analysing.
He's watching, he's analysing. And he knows these players, So that was a miss. I just feel that, I just don't think that this coach really understands. I understand Shikabala and what he means to this club, what he means to South African football. It's a regret that is going to be there. It's the same mistake that the Bafana coach did to Hugo Bruce when he first came.
Yes.
He changed his mind later, and I mean, the man
He still has a job.
he still has a job. So yeah, I just feel a lot of things went wrong in terms of how the lineups was. He made changes in Egypt, removing Sales, but still,
But
there's always been the thing that Assis Morris maybe
Mm-hmm.
was he persisted with him also maybe not quite the right choice.
Yeah.
But even there again, you miss an opportunity of putting in Shishi at a critical stage of the match where you really had to go out there and do something special. And Shishi has this in him to be able to do something special. So I blame the coach, I blame the senior players. They'll really have to go back and really look in the situation and see what they do going forward. But you feel decisions need to be taken at Sundowns. They can't go on like this.
So before we get into the continuation, I'm interested because when we were celebrating Mamelodi Sundowns for winning the league, we spoke about Ribeiro and how he's being used differently. And you saw the same now. It became a difficulty in this final because you playing him on the right wing, that's not his position. It's more of an attacking player. So that compromised Mamelodi Sundowns as well, where now you also bring in a Matthews. So I am all for players being versatile, but when you've got a cup to win, you have to understand your players' strengths and use them accordingly. What did you think of how Ribeiro is being used? Because we're not seeing the same player that was dancing and attacking and playing as a 10 when the season started.
Yeah, you can feel that maybe the coach wanted to come up with a surprise element to frustrate the opposition. If it works, you look like a genius, but if it doesn't work, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
Obviously, he changed and then he removed Sales and brought in Jaden Adams, who also, Jaden, if we are to be honest, he has done well in the league, but on the continent didn't do well. I guess he needs more continental football matches to really get to acclimatize and get to grips with just the demands of that level. That level is very, very high. On Ribeiro generally, if you look at his contribution, in the Champions League, it has not been good. And not only him, even Marcelo Allende to a large extent also, he has not been good. It brings me back to the question of saying, maybe part of the post-mortem for Sundowns of the Champions League is to really look into this thing of maybe focusing more their scouting on the West Africa, having the big players from West Africa. The very same pyramids have got two players in two key positions who are West Africans. That central midfielder Baliti, Toure, and also the striker. And you check over the years, if you check Wydad and you check Al Ahly, Zamalek, they always have a good presence of West African players because they just know how to play on the continent. And obviously, I've got to go for the best of the best. So maybe Sundowns need to look into that. I just feel these South Americans, even with their talents and stuff, they don't impose themselves properly in the Champions League. And we're always told that they sign these players with big money because of the Champions League. And it becomes a problem where these are the guys who can just come in and win the league. And then when it matters the most in Champions League, they're not giving you much. Yeah. It's one thing they need to really look into. I'm also a little bit concerned with the Sundowns squad. It's getting older now. Most of the senior guys, especially the Bafana players, most of them are over 30 now. They need to refresh very, very carefully to find the right balance because you can't just check them out. You must phase them out nicely. Surely, Shishi is not going to be much part of the future. You need to replace Shishi. How do you do that? I don't know how they're going to do that. So most of the guys...
I'm not ready for that day, by the way.
Yeah, I guess we are not ready for that discussion, but, it's something which is going to happen sooner rather than later. So it's a big problem. Also, I don't see there's a concrete plan of, like exceptionally young, talented footballers who are ready to take over. I would have loved to see Mabena. There was unlucky with that injury that he suffered early in the season. I would have loved to see Lethaku. You saw what he did at AFCON for the kids. There is something there. He just needs to be trusted a bit more. There's no doubt about the quality and the talent of Malebongwe Khoza, but he's in and out of the team. So also there is a bit of a tricky one, you know. So Sundowns, they're sitting in a position where really they need to sit and really plan and take tough decisions because I think they've reached a crossroads kind of a situation where you have got a coach and a technical director who the fans are extremely unhappy with, and you know, if the fans are not going to be supporting the coach, you are going to have a serious problem.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that they need to do during this off-season, coming for preparing for next season.
So you know all too well about shoe shine and piano. It's a story that you love telling very much. So when you look into Sundowns this season, I mean, we went from how train football, what the football fans were calling, and to where they are now. Talk to us about that identity, really, because a lot of the cry currently is that it's not the Sundowns that they know. It's one thing to lose, but at least lost having known that we played our best, and this is the Mamelodi Sundowns way of playing. You've said it throughout the entire season, even the league, that they're not quite there yet, and it's interesting that now going into the World Cup. Then what are the expectations to the Club World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, Sundowns fans still talks about the type of football they played with Lompo and Sugar, Sereno, Villa, Mshishi. And even you can add Kick and Dolly, you can add Pesitao, you know.
Yeah.
And coming this way with Coach Rulani, that team that Coach Rulani assembled. Most of the players are still there, but they're not just quite playing the same football. And Sundowns fans have been spoiled for many, many years with that type of football. They've deviated a little bit from that type of football. The fans are not happy, and whether they are right or wrong is another story, you know. But that's what they're used to. I understand that this coach came, played 21 matches, lost 1 and drawn 2, and won the league.
Yeah.
But it's not enough. For Sundowns now, because the standard is set so high, it's also not enough to get to a final of a Champions League. You have to win it. Finals are there to be won. Nobody cares about Dukayo in second, you know.
The first person to lose.
I mean, you know, you have lost, you know. So yeah, I guess they need to find that balance of playing well and winning. Coach Rulani did it. Coach Rulani played good football and still won, even though he didn't win the Champions League. But you know, they were very easy on eye. That's why, to a large extent, I think maybe the fans forgave him for not winning Champions League because they were happy with the way he played. If that's good enough or not is another story. But yeah, the way they're playing is not the way Sundowns needs to play. Then you get back to those basics. If this coach continues next season, there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of playing the Sundowns way. Currently, they've got the job done in the league, but the football they're playing is not enough. And also, one thing which we need to be honest about with Sundowns, they're not winning much in terms of trophies.
No.
You need to be winning trophies.
At this point, everybody just has a trophy apiece.
You have to win the league. I mean, of course, you have to win the league, but you also have got to win trophies. I mean, they went to Bloom and make a big mess there with Magezi in the culling. MTN 8 also is gone. Nedbank is gone. So they need to obviously be in contention at all times to win the league, because winning the league takes you back to Champions League and trophies, because players also make money from these trophies, win these trophies, you know. So
of course.
So there's a lot that they need to do. The other interesting thing will be they may go back next season and maybe win the league, and that is largely due to the fact that at the bottom there's nothing much that is going to push them, because it's up to Pirates, largely up to Pirates and Chiefs to put Sundowns. And obviously, we'll have to wait to see how they boost those teams and see how competitive they're going to be. But Sundowns, even when they are not at their best, they can still win the league again, which is a real pity for South African football.
It definitely is. Shifting focus then to national teams. We'll start with Banyana with the Tri-Nation Series, where, of course, they've been playing Botswana, Zambia in preparation for WAFCON, as they are the defending champions. Talk to us about the importance of their preparation, Influencer.
Yeah, we always hammer Safa. But this time I'm going to say something nice about Safa.
Oh, wow. Lovely. What is that?
Preparation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also not hammer them for not taking them to that nonsense called Fun Valley.
Yes.
They are in a hotel.
Yes.
They are well looked after. They are preparing. These ladies have been all over the place. I think they played against, they were in Europe and they were in Jamaica. Now they are playing these matches. There will be one window of FIFA week. Nothing much is going to happen there because it's a short one just for releasing of players from clubs.
Yeah.
But you need these camps to prepare. And I'm quite happy that they've been given the opportunity to prepare. The coach, you know, sometimes the coach needs to have a feel with the players, you know. And also the players, the more they play together. And also the good thing is that there's a couple of senior players who are coming back. I think Bambanani Mbani is coming back. Dlamini is also coming back. Refugee Jani is coming back. I know there's an issue with Hilda Magaya with an injury. She's not played in these two matches against Botswana and Zambia because they are trying to make sure that she recovers fully from that injury. She's been well looked after. She's came to be overseen by the medical teams, the people of the team. There were some players who didn't come because of club commitments, like the striker Tembi and a few others who didn't come for this camp. But they shouldn't be too much worried because they are playing wherever they are. So not much worry there in terms of match fitness. But I'm quite happy that the sponsors Sasol have come on board. You know, our friends at SAFA are also chipping in to make sure that they prepare. They have to go there and defend this thing. It's very, very important. You know, when Banyana do well, there's always that excitement in the country.
I'm looking forward to the next song that's going to come out of the dressing room. Like that's what I'm looking forward to as well. As much as, yes, we've got no doubt that they will defend, and well, that's what we're hoping for in terms of the field of play. But they also do it with swag, and they do it with so much vibe. So
it's a good team, it's a good environment.
Well balanced,
It's a good dressing room. We have been lucky to be around the ladies at training and stuff, and you can see that they're a very organized. It's a very organized setup. I think Coach Destry and the people behind the scenes, they've really created a good environment for the guys to be comfortable. There will always be one or two staff coming out about you know, this player is in, this player is out, and whatever. But the coach, at the end of the day, she has to decide which players feels are the best one for a particular job, and that will be there. And I'm happy that Refugee is back.
Same.
She's the kingpin of this team.
No, she definitely is. Unfortunately, we run out of time.
Is it?
Yes.
So now you come back and then you are killing the time. What is happening with you?
I'm killing the time, my guy. Who's doing most of the talking here? But let's quickly then talk about the guys. We'll start with the COSAFA team. Of course, being coached by Coach Vela Kumalo, but looking into the players that are there, 5 players from Kaizer Chiefs who they are absolutely happy about that inclusion, so saying, okay, at least Vela somewhere, national team asset. And then you have 2 from Orlando Pirates, that being Uradiopane and Dlamini. Talk to us about, you know, the inclusion of these players from this team. And I know there's also an exclusion that we'll get to in just a bit.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, the real Bafana is in Polokwane as we speak now.
which one is in Bloom again?
In Bloom is the COSAFA side. And it always sort of pains me in a way that there's a lot of players who are in that Bafana team that is in Polokwane for the friendlies against Mozambique and Tanzania, who I feel needs to go to COSAFA and be tested at COSAFA level.
Oh, really?
Especially the younger players. A
Which
player like
ones?
I can give you an example, and it's not no hard feelings, but a player like Slepe should get his first Bafana cap at COSAFA, not at
But my guy, if you're playing for a big team and you're doing well, what must happen?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you really need to take the steps, you know. I know the coach said he will try and play all the players, which means he will play. But he will have a bigger role to play at COSAFA, because then there you feel you'll probably start all the matches and gain more international experience and that kind of thing. I'm just a bit worried that to a large extent we don't take this COSAFA serious, and it becomes a problem. you just take the players that didn't make it to go to Bafana Friendly's preparation.
No influencer. One are there. You and I never disagree, ne? Mara, this one.
These
no,
players that are at Kosafa now, I mean, which player there at Kosafa can go and play for Bafana Fan?
Dlamini can go play for Bafana. You can also have, we've spoken about Aiden McCarthy. If he gets his
Aiden McCarthy
timing
is right there at Kosafa.
He will get it right. He can go play there. Who else? Let me see. Okay, I'm looking at the Chiefs side. I'm like, okay, maybe not too much on the Chiefs side.
Yeah.
Radio Pane, you can also go put in
Radio
there.
Pane?
Yes,
No,
you can. But you know what my point is, influencer, is that as much as you're saying that we don't take it too seriously in terms of Kosafa, and that there are some players that don't really deserve it. But you know what my thing is, right? Is that in terms of growth for these players, it's important also to go put them in Kosafa. And I was listening to Coach Vela Kumalo, and he was talking about how he also needs to build this team, because Coach Hugo, then after playing with the senior boys, he'll have to watch this Kosafa team and see who stood out from this side and who can then he integrate into then the bigger boys as to who then joins the senior team. So it's just as important. It's not like it's completely disjointed. They will be communicating, and Coach Hugo will be watching what the team that, of course, was set up by Vela. And he also mentions the fact that, yes, we chose most of these players because, yes, they didn't get selected from Coach Hugo's team, but that's why we're continuing to bring them here, because we want to keep an eye on them and we want to see what they can do. So, my guy, it's a win-win here.
No, I agree with you that what I'm saying is that the players that are at Kosafa, there are some players that are with Bafana. They must go to Kosafa.
You want to relegate them?
Yes. They must go to Kosafa because at Kosafa they have a chance of playing 2, 3, 4 matches.
You only mentioned Silepe, so Silepe is
there's
the
a lot
one.
of them. There's quite a number of them. And also those players, when they are finished with Kosafa, they must go to Chan. Because these ones are going to be playing,
Chan, yes.
you know, so I mean, Silepe, and I'm sorry to pick on him, but because he's the most least experienced player there. And I mean, I like the guy. I think he's a very, very good footballer. I'm just giving an example. I'm not picking on him.
On him, yeah.
You know, people must not get this thing wrong. If he plays 30 minutes there,
yeah,
you know, I would rather have him at Kosafa, where he can play whatever amount of matches Bafana are going to be playing in the tournament. And also, it's a gradual integration into international football. Like, for example, Aiden McCarthy, he will benefit from being at Kosafa because he's going to play there.
He will.
You know,
Yeah.
even the other younger players that are in Polokwane now. I mean, you can imagine the coach said that he wants to play all the players, but if the match suddenly becomes a bit tricky, where he can't really make changes for the sake of making changes, some of those players are not going to play.
But influencer, remember when Hugo got here, what his biggest thing was? Is that he wanted young players. And part of wanting the young players, you've got an advantage now. Mamelodi Sundowns are busy. So you take essentially that's... No, you take them to Kosafa when Mamelodi Sundowns players are available. Currently, Mamelodi Sundowns players are not available. So then what do? Okay, let me try out these youngsters. I mean, I said I want to try young people. So let me see how they fare up and get to, you know, to understand them a little bit. So I think for me...
yeah, well, I mean, let's see how it goes. But, you know, I would rather them at Kosafa playing a little bit more. And also there at Kosafa, the competition can be very, very tight there. I mean, Zambia also comes with a very strong team.
But my guy, you were just saying you want young players to be given a chance.
Zimbabwe, yeah, but they must at Kosafa.
No,
because they may not play there.
My guy, na ikep nyalo. Mamelodi Sundowns squad ayiko yonke. So, okay, what must happen? Let's bring in these young players.
They must go to Bloemfontein.
They will go to Bloemfontein when there's a need to go to Bloemfontein. Right now
there's
isn't.
A need now.
No, influencer, no.
There are players who for a long time have been on the fringes of Bafana.
Oh my goodness.
There are certain players. I mean, there are some players that...
Must we agree to disagree on this?
Yeah, I think we can do that. There are some players who have been on the fringes of Bafana. I mean, for example, he has not picked this one from Makhala from Skukuni.
Oh,
from both these two sides. There are certain players that have been on the fringes of Bafana or Bafana collapse. Are the ones that must go there. And then these younger ones who have been on a breakthrough this season, let them go to Bloemfontein. But I guess we can always say that the coach knows best, and then we'll see. And I'm also happy with Vela Kumalo. That is getting an opportunity to coach the national team.
Yes, with alongside him.
He's a very, very he's a guy who has earned his stripes now. It's good that they are showing faith in him.
Yeah.
He has done a very good job at Kaizer Chiefs. I think he won DDC this season.
And
He has been a
Amajibos
guy
as well.
who has always been around youth football for many, many, many years, and I'm sure. I wish him well. I'll be rooting for him. I like guys who. And there's not too much noise around the guy. He's very, very quiet and cares about his business very well. There are these other ones who just talk here and they don't do nothing.
Yeah.
Also, that they are showing confidence in Yeye.
Yes.
He's taking his coaching very, very seriously.
True.
Also, another guy who's very, very quiet, very solid. This will be a very good experience for them.
So Kaizer Chiefs people are quiet, eh?
Well, some others, so yeah, it's very, very good. I think also the communication, sharing reports with Coach Hugo, it can only help him, and also
I think so too.
in a bigger picture also help Chiefs, because Chiefs need all the help they can get, especially from the development guys there.
And that's how we'll wrap it up. Let
Is
us
that
know. That's it. That is how we wrap it up. Let us know as well your thoughts on, of course, the team in
They must
Polokwane,
go to
the
Kosafa,
team
those ones.
in Bloemfontein. What's your sentiments on that one? But we'll see you on the next one. We've got a special guest that I'm absolutely looking forward to next week. And, of course, it should be a good show as well. Lots of laughter is what it promises. But today, I think we did well. We covered so many sporting codes, which was brilliant. And I'm hoping
After
you
our
enjoyed
guest
it.
that dropped us in the last minute, but it was for a valid reason. The
Yeah,
guy
it
was not
was.
well, so we'll try and get him here next week.
I don't know. We already have a guest lined up for next week, but maybe the other week. But anyway,
I'm sure we can have two guys.
we will see you soon. Cheers. Goodbye.
Cheers.